pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this glorious day that you blessed us with. We just want to thank you to look over this meeting, bless us, and make us make wise decisions for our county. And in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
All right, has everyone had a chance to look over the minutes of the March meeting? Phil's made a motion to accept the minutes. For a second? Second by Mr. Abbott. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All right. Chelsea, have at it.
Alright, so we had 203 runs for the month of March. Our income for the month was $100,235. I know that is more than usual. I know we've been around 80 the last few months. We did have almost an extra full week of deposits, so that is where that is coming from. Last meeting, you guys asked for the vehicle mileage, and so if you flip your page over that I gave you, that's our current numbers. Mike got those yesterday on the trucks. The 16 and 17 is the ones that will be getting replaced, but those are our current miles, so you guys have that. Our fuel cost for March was $3,789. The max that we spent on a gallon was $3.65, and the minimum we spent was $3.14. I did a little comparison of February to see kind of where we were at on that. Max we spent in February was $2.89, and minimum was $2.80. So kind of go by gallons, we used less gallons in March. So I was kind of trying to prepare for our fuel costs to be quite a bit more, but where we didn't drive as much in March, it kind of did help us in that. That would be contributed to the fact that we had less runs in March than we did in February. Yesterday as well, I got the guy that represents Malcon stopped by. He wanted to introduce himself, and I had got a paper or an email from the preliminary notice of program reimbursement. What we had used Malcon for in the past is whenever Medicaid realizes that the amount that they give us sometimes doesn't even cover the amount of supplies that we use on the patient at that time. They have then said that they would go on a cost analysis of expenditures and then the percentage of those patients that we have treated during the year and give us a certain percentage of that. They are just now getting through with 2019, but I do have the contract from Malcon. They also will do our fuel tax reimbursement. They said that we would get the Medicare reimbursement first, and then they would work on our fuel tax reimbursement, and they said they normally get that from Michelle, so, but I do have the contract for you guys, because if that could be signed soon, I'd appreciate it. They would appreciate it, so we can get it back to them, so. You want to start on the side and look over it? It's an identical contract to what we signed before. So. I think you guys use them for the highway department as well for their tax.
Have they been administering the fuel tax for the ambulance service, or is that something we've just not done with them in the past?
They have been doing the fuel.
They have?
Mm-hmm.
We started it back over the highway, and then we went to the highway and then back to
contract just rolls over, I don't think we need a motion.
It has to be, renewed. So the contract that, is on there, I think there's 3 years if you flip, so one of the pages, it will cover, I think 20, 21, and 22, I believe.
Well, if that's the case, yeah, we probably
need a
better
motion,
have a motion.
so I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, Rick's made a motion to renew the contract with Malcon for fuel tax and Medicaid reimbursement. Phil seconded, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Yeah, Mr. Malinowski, I think he does a good job. He's always looking out for us and,
So Malcon works with the Myers and Stauffer, they work together, for that amount, so, they take care of, like, if there's any questions with Myers and Stauffer, they deal directly with them, to make sure that the numbers that Malcon is coming up with and the numbers that Myers and Stauffer are coming up with are the same, so. He was super nice yesterday, said if we have any questions to call, so. But it is an amount that we pay them, I think it's $4,750, I think, is what we've been paying in the past.
I'd like, just while we're talking about fuel, isn't your fuel contract, separate from the, I know it's separate billing wise from the highway department, is it a different company?
We use Riley.
I'm not saying you can change midstream, but there might be a little bit of a benefit if we countywide use the same company for fuel. They might save a few pennies maybe. But if they're bidding on the highway department, which is our big user, then.
We made a motion back in January to accept all bids, so I don't know if you wanna, are you asking for her to get a quote each month?
No, not each month. I'm saying when it comes time for the first year for bids. I mean, I know,
Already accepted it. So you can change it whenever you want.
but I'm saying if we could save a few pennies, bulk, buying in bulk,
But you're gonna have to bid on a monthly basis to do that. So you might get a quote from them, see what their price is gonna be on the next,
Can-
different ones.
Who does the highway department use?
We use Riley too, don't we?
I didn't think the last year we used Premier maybe.
They used to have Premier. I think last year, was Riley. This year, so far we've had Riley. I think Premier was a company that was used in the past. Riley has been great to us, so.
Well, 3 years ago, last year, because Riley didn't get their bid in on time, but this year, I think Riley got the bid.
We had a problem with the mayor about there was no local drivers, and we got real low on fuel, it was a few times, and we ended up draining the bottom of the tank, and suddenly got some tanks, and we had to have tanks full.
We had some trouble.
And we had some trouble with that, I think it's, Riley's got a local driver, and all we gotta do is call them, and they'll show up at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, they just show up, like, you don't have to say, hey, our tank's this low, like, they come every single week, and whatever we need, they fill it,
Yeah.
so.
That's good. All right, well, we'll
That's
just
worth a lot.
keep an eye on it.
So the CSR, NARC box is something I wanna talk to you guys about. So in the past, and what has happened, primarily across like county services, is they use their medical director's DEA license, and then they go off the pharmacist, they go off the coattails of the pharmacist CSR. The things with narcotics have gotten quite a bit more restrictive, and there's stricter guidelines. So in response to that, Indiana, said that each, individual EMS station, has to obtain their own CSR. So that would be under me and then Dr. Morgan as our medical director. So it's something that we have several different things that we have to put in place to show that we can store them there, that, we have more of a documentation process. If you flip to the, I only had a few of those with those papers on the back, but, if you flip to the last 2 pages, I think some of you have some of those, it will show you kind of how our narcotics are done in the mornings now. If you'll see a number for like Valium, Dilaudid morphine, Ativan, and then they sign in and out. It's a paper system, and then the next page will show you the pharmacist, which what we turn into the pharmacist. When we use it, we track run number, the paramedic signs it, then they have a witness, and if they have any waste, it will show on there as well. That's how we've been doing it, but with the rules and everything being more strict now, that was fine in the past, but it needs to kind of move forward in a different direction. So I did obtain a quote. So there is, if you look at the quote that is on attached, you'll see the grand total is $14,571. I know that looks like quite a bit. There would be an HQ, like headquarters control panel with a locker that would be secured to the wall, and that is where we will hold the narcotics that are not on the ambulance. There will be a training, an online training that everyone will be able to go through. There will be 7 boxes that will be in 5 ambulances and 2 chase vehicles. The drug pouches can be scanned, and then each medication will have a tag on it that they will scan out. And in the mornings, it will not be a paper system anymore. You'll come in, you'll check out your narcotics, and whoever is coming off will check it in. The company holds all the data. I think it's 7 years, and it sends a notification, like if a door gets left open for longer than 15 minutes, it will notify me. If the crew do not check narcotics and do an inventory count within 2 hours of their shift starting, it will go to me. If the counts are off at all, if there is no usage logged but we're missing a morphine, I will immediately get a notification on that. If there is medication used, and say they use 50 micrograms of fentanyl, there's 50 left in the vial, and they did not waste the last 50 in the vial, I will get a notification. So the company said that we were actually one of 5 quotes that they were sending from Indiana alone, because they said that pretty much everyone is in the same boat. And then until we get the CSR, this is part of it, we need something like this to get the CSR, but until we get it, this is also something that we can put the pharmacist on at St. Vincent, and he can log in and look at our counts. Right now, we are taking like 4 boxes at a time to the pharmacist, and he's looking at them because we have to leave some on the trucks, and then we're going back and taking them, what we just checked on the trucks, and taking the ones he needs to check off, and kind of going around like that. So, but while the pharmacist is still involved, he will be able to log into this at any time and do an audit daily if he chooses to, weekly. So he will have access, and I think it will be a lot easier to keep track of. So, if we go ahead with this, they said 6 weeks. It's not like a crazy amount of time. They make them on site. Everybody is there that deals with it. So,
Is that a one-time charge?
yeah. So this will be the one-time charge. If you notice on number 10, the NarcTrack Pro annual subscription and TPRO. There is 8 of those. It's $60 a year you pay per device. So we would have the 7 boxes in between the trucks and the chase, and then we have 1 HQ locker. So that is how you get the 8. So the $480 would be a yearly charge with this, all this other stuff. The tags, the medication tags, that will be as we use them. So we will have to purchase those, I think there's 50 in each. And he said that a lot of services are doing color coded, like Ativan will get blue and whatever, just so it's easier when you look in to see kind of what you're grabbing. But the RFID tags will then, when they take it out, they have to scan it, much like a Pyxis that you would see at the hospital. So, like, the tags will have to be bought as we use them, and then the annual subscription, which I thought $60 per device was pretty reasonable, because they keep that 7 years of tracking and all the notifications that come with it.
Make a motion to go ahead and accept this, our security device.
Okay, Mr. Marshall's made a motion to accept the contract for the securing the drugs. Mr. Abbott seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The only thing, so getting the CSR, that's like the biggest thing, is just showing a more secure way for our narcotics. The only other thing that I can think is the headquarters box will probably be stored in my office, getting more of a secure lock on my door. And then, Tony mentioned putting, bars on my window, cause I have like a slider window. And then they kind of mentioned cameras in the video that we, went on, but I don't know if that was a suggestion or that we had to do that. We were on a webinar, like an informational session, and it wasn't like, you know, we weren't with someone to ask a bunch of questions. I did reach out to Putnam County, and they have been so helpful, and they use this NarcTrack. That's what they use, and so they were super helpful. So I am gonna reach out to him, and I was gonna ask if we could possibly visit their station just to see kind of how they're set up. There's not a lot of counties right now that have their CSR because we're all in the same situation. So I'd like to see how they're doing it to make sure that we do it right, because they obviously got approved, and we have a field site inspection after we submit our application. They have to come to the station, look at everything, so.
This is a federal law, we have to do, just FYI. Ain't got a lot of choices about it.
So there was a couple things I hadn't put on there. We did have training at West Washington last night. We walked through the schools, and then we got a map of all the doors. It's something that we're gonna laminate and put in all the trucks, and gonna get West Washington, Eastern, and Salem. And then I know we had talked to you guys about the LZ stuff that we had wanted to get done. We did have a binder that we've now put together. All the trucks have them, dispatch has them, and all the flight services will have them. I passed it around up there, but just so you guys can kind of look through it and see in that binder kind of what we did. Mike got a lot of those, the coordinates, and he did all of that, and then I laminated my heart out yesterday, so we finally got those done. So hopefully now whenever we say we're gonna do a scene flight or whatever, or we're gonna go to an LZ, the crew will be able to say, dispatch, we're gonna use LZ 5 as an example, and that way we're not gonna say the cornfield at the corner of whatever. It will be a lot simpler, because they will be able to have that. As soon as we give them a number of the LZ, they should be able to flip to that, have the coordinates for the helicopter service. And then the flight crew will be able to see kind of aerial where we're going to be landing, where we're wanting them to land. So, the power loads that we had got approved with ARP, they were supposed to be delivered at the end of April, and they have moved up, so they will be delivered April 12th. And then we had installation the very end of April, because that's when we thought we were going to get them delivered. So I've got to call out to the guy to see if he can move us up on installation, but we will have them at our building April 12th, which is very exciting. So, and that is all I have.
Hey, what line item were you going to draw from on this, these, safety boxes for the drugs?
We have a supplies line item of like 7,000, I believe, and we have a $5,000 line item in the, station supplies. I'm gonna have to move stuff around.
On the locks for the building, on her office. Being that is our building, can we not take it out from this budget?
We sure can.
I mean, basically, Commissioner's own building. Would the key fobs we're using now, are they satisfactory?
Yeah,
They can be programmed,
yeah.
who you want, disengage?
When I talked to Tony about it, he called them and got a quote, which I did not. That's in my office somewhere. But, it would be like a magnetic situation for those doors. It wouldn't be like a wired, I think.
So is the main box going in your office then?
That will be where they're stored. That will be the HQ box, which we're not gonna have a ton that, we're not gonna have as much as the pharmacy keeps in there, but, we do have to have a decent amount. So if I get to the point that I move stuff out of these line items and then we get towards the end of the year, I don't know. I'm just trying to prepare for fuel because I know that we spent $3.64 as our max, but I mean, it could be $4 next month. So
Walmart, this one's $4.17 this morning.
So if I move around some money for these NARC box, which is, we have to do something. How is that going to look as far as, would I have to ask for?
The reality is something that probably should have been budgeted last year, but didn't get budgeted because this was all coming down the pipe last year. So some of this should already been halfway hashed out. And then, right in her lap, she said, we gotta do this, no.
I have the money right now, but I don't know how, we get to October. It's hard to kind of look to see with inflation and gas prices where we're gonna be at. I hope that we're in decent shape, but I have to be realistic as well. So,
Stay on top of the supplies and everything, usage, expired stuff, everything's being held down pretty much to minimums, like you said, it's the prices and stuff, that's what probably gets this year.
what we're doing now is we look out so many days, and then when we see that something is gonna expire in the next 4 to 5 months, we are moving it to the front trucks, which are gonna be the ones that are gonna have the chance to use them the most. We switch trucks around to try to spread out the usage of the truck, so when we do that, we go through to make sure that the stuff expiring soon is getting moved to the appropriate truck. We are trying to cut down on waste quite a bit. It's just some things are out of our control. So,
It is out of control.
like a box of flushes that we get from Boundtree, which is like the 10 ml flushes that we use in Start Kids, we use when we administer medications. It's $79 a box. And it's literally syringes and saline, that's it. $79 a box.
3 years ago, it used to be $15.67. Just to
I
give you
mean,
an idea.
and the gloves, we're not buying the same gloves that we were before because I'm not spending that much money. But, we are trying to make some changes in what we carry to try to cut down and find cheaper options, but,
Sounds to me like you're doing all you can do.
I know, I'm saying,
Yeah.
we
So
spend
we
this,
might have something.
we spend this money on something, I don't want to get to October and, but we don't really have a choice with this because we have, due to laws for Indiana now, we have to change the way we're carrying these narcotics, so.
And then the other options to that would be like going and buying a Fort Knox gun safe. There will be nothing, you know how much that's gonna cost you. That's probably gonna cost you just that cost alone to put the safe in there, then you gotta put the cameras in, then you gotta set the bags up, then you gotta have tracking systems. It's gonna cost, all in all, that's probably about the best price system you can get is what you've got.
Well, not only that, you find.
Exactly, can't find that.
But with the boxes that automatically send notification, like, it's gonna be my responsibility whenever the CSR comes through, it's on me. And to know that I will be notified if a door is left open for 15 minutes, like, that makes me feel so much better. Like, if they don't waste the exact amount that they're supposed to waste, that makes me, and I get a notification about that. I don't have to wait until Monday to figure that out. On Saturday night, I will know that and I will be able to fix it. So,
Does it notify you every time somebody
I
is
can
in?
set it up that way, yes. And it has like date, time, who logged into it, everything.
It's also another thing you can do, kind of state required, is kind of your truck check. That way we can see every day that, Todd Hughes doing his truck check and checking his narcs, Rick's doing it.
It also
This
keeps
thing has to
track.
be done every day.
It also keeps track. You can pull, is one person using a lot of narcotics? Is one person, like, it will keep track of like who's using them, or are they wasting a lot? Like, it makes it a lot better that way, so.
So do you have to have a certain amount of locks to get to, is there a?
So you have to have a lock on the device, you have to have a lock. So the way that in the ambulance, it's a lock to get into the box and a lock on the truck is, I think, because you have to have two forms of locking, yeah.
Then in the building, it has to be three, one to the building, one to her office, and then one to the security headquarters box.
Well, I don't
Triple
know.
lock.
Previously, that's what was stated, that they had to have 3 locks before you.
Yeah, it's two in an ambulance and 3 in a building, so.
And then the video thing, even if that's a requirement, we ain't too sure about that. We could probably find somebody around there and get to Walmart, get something cheap, you hook up, and that would probably suffice. You can get that stuff for $100, $200, just hook it up.
I know there's Wi-Fi, like, there's Wi-Fi type cameras that I think would probably be a little bit cheaper than wiring cameras, but, I honestly haven't went down that road yet. I think this was the biggest thing, and I'd like us to kind of be using this before we like get our CSR and then we have to learn this. Like, I'd like to be learning this and then when it's all our responsibility, then we're in a better shape.
The other thing this fall may be covered too, but the first meeting we sat in on was not even our narcotics, but the other regular drugs we just keep in a cabinet that's not technically locked, that your paramedic, you can go get it, replace what you use because it's not a narcotic. They're even talking about having to keep that locked down, have cameras in it, and then get into, you keep a camera on an employee in the hallway all the time. So,
Yeah, I
there may be
think
some stuff on down the pipe, we may have to have some questions answered from our lawyer and all that stuff.
I think with that, basically, they're just wanting to say, are you keeping track of your other non-narcotic medication, or are you just like willy-nilly, anyone can pick it up? Like, I think they're just wanting to see, like, you're being responsible with your non-narcotics, so now we can trust you with actual narcotics. I think that is why in the field inspection, they said that they would be looking at how we store other medication. I don't know how strict they're gonna be about those, but I think they're just wanting to kind of see how we're operating, because it is a big liability and responsibility that they're giving you. So,
So you say Putnam County's using this already?
mhm.
I think it would be a good idea for you to go there and see.
Yeah, so I looked where they're at, and I think it's about 2 hours. So,
And they already have your CSR, correct?
mhm.
And the CSR, is that yours?
It will be mine,
In her name, she's responsible. FBI comes to her.
yeah. I don't look good in orange, so just FYI. But yeah, it's something that I would, like, I can talk to them on the phone, but I think just seeing it, that's how I learn, that's how I have, I feel like I have a better idea of how they're operating. They also, with storing our own narcotics, we have to have a way to destroy them if they were expired. So I did get quotes, from, I think doTERRA is one of them, and then, RX Destroyer is another one. Basically, it's a, charcoal, like activated charcoal thing that you dump in there and it like absorbs and turns it into something hard. But that's something that we have to show in our application, that we have a way to destroy them after they are expired. But I have got quotes for those, and they weren't terrible, they're pretty reasonable, so. Hopefully, if we move stuff around and keep track of what is expiring soon and putting it on the trucks to be used appropriately, we won't have much waste at all, so hopefully we won't even need much of that at all, so. Does anyone have any questions about anything, or any topics that I didn't put on here that you guys are wondering about, or?
So I mean, like you need more to do.
Well, I think something needs to be said about last month on March, as much as I hate to say it. Our ambulance service was definitely needed, but $100,000 mark is one of the best ones I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I understand, one day this week, you had 3 equal runs in a 1 hour period.
We had 10 runs and it was like 3 hours and like 25 minutes or something.
There's no doubt, the ambulance service for Washington County has been beneficial. And you guys are doing a good job. You said something about Medicare changing, if you get a different certification or something.
So there are, so we are trying to take more transfer from the hospital, obviously. We are trying to be as available as possible when they have something. Right now, if it's going out as an ALS bill, like something that has to go out medic, it's being billed ALS, and that's kind of like a standard rate. But Medicare and Medicaid have certain amounts that they will give you. They obviously down it quite a bit of what they'll bill you. So if we can show, I talked to Jim Freeman, and I talked to Heather at Ambulance Billing, if we can show that we have had training, we can bill as a specialty care transport, and Medicare, Medicaid does recognize that as a higher, rate to pay. So things that we would have training on would be managing like drips. If a patient is on, say like Levophed is a medication, and we have to change it en route due to the patient's needs, then we would show, we'd have kind of like a sliding scale and just show that we've had training on something a little bit more than what we normally do on the truck. We already had the vent training that we set through, and everyone signed in that they were there, so we show that we have done this training yearly, then ambulance billing will bill at that specialty care rate when we do take out transfers. Now, obviously, if it's like something like a kidney stone that's being transferred, that's not going to be a specialty care rate. But something that's, pretty serious, they will reimburse us at a higher rate. And like I said before, they know that their rates are way lower than they should be. So if they are recognizing this higher rate of a specialty care transport, then I think we'd be ridiculous not to do it. So it's going to be a mandatory thing for all paramedics to sit through the training. So
When can you start the training?
as soon as I make, I'm trying to give people some dates, not be like, hey, next week you need to be here at this time. I'm going to try to set it out, hopefully, like give them a month in advance to change, get their schedule aligned. But it's going to be like a 4 to 6 hour class. It's not going to be something that happens in an hour. So
So will the training be done where?
at our station.
At your?
Mm-hmm.
And our lovely training facility we have. Thank you.
That's one 4 to 6 hour class.
Mm-hmm. We have to do it yearly.
I'm sorry, what you said?
We have to do it yearly. We have to give ambulance billing and like I said, we could split it up and say, we've already done vents, so we could say this day we're gonna do, IV drug drip, training or something, but I feel like it's gonna like space it way out. I'd really like it if they could just give me a day and we try to do it as much in that day. Because I think as soon as we can get this done, the sooner we can start billing higher, so they might not like me for it, but I'm gonna try to make them stay there for 4 to 6 hours and get it over with so we can do this.
And Matt shared something on our group page last night. I ain't had a chance to research it. I don't know if she has or not.
I read it, but I don't know how.
Our governor, Holcomb, however, which side of the fence he wants to be on today, passed a law sometime last month that you can now negotiate with Medicare and Medicaid on billing.
Who's gonna
But
do
it
that?
also mentioned private services, and it showed the interviews of some private service individuals. Trying to, and that the comment was made that they can be more competitive with your county services instead of your municipalities.
Please take that with a grain of salt, because that was not on anything like, I didn't see that on Indiana Homeland Security website, but, I think even in talking to Malcon, he said that they are trying to figure out how to adjust their rates, because they realize that there are some patients that just on the supplies that we are using for them, we lose money.
A BLS regular scheduled transfer from St. Vincent's to Floyd was, if it was Medicaid and Medicaid alone, I think we got a price, what, $228?
I don't remember the
Doesn't
exact
cover your
off,
costs.
off the top of my head, but they know that there is it's not exactly equal, so I think they are working on that. And like I said, that news article, don't know how legit that was, so.
Haven't done no research, just want to throw it out there, there is something, don't know how legit it was.
We're getting back to what you said about trying to get the employees to take that certification. It's probably to their advantage if they would,
Yeah.
more money for the service.
Yeah,
So,
I did want to mention to you guys, I am taking classes on Tuesday and Wednesday nights from 9 to midnight, to obtain my community paramedicine certification. It is a very new form of EMS that basically we would work in connection with hospitals, doctors' offices, our frequent runs that we're going to, and we've had a run that, actually we're at 4 times in the last 12 hours, recently. It's something that will be in the future. It's not something that I'm saying is gonna be rolled out in the next 6 months, but, I am hopeful that it's something that we can offer in Washington County, and, I felt like the only way that I would really know and be able to kind of move forward in what a program would look here is to obtain my community paramedicine certification myself. So I am doing that. That class is almost 3 months. And then in June, I start my PI class at Ivy Tech. We have 2 PIs now, Steve Ty and Steve Young. But if anything were to happen and they decided to leave, we did not have any other PI that could teach our EMT class. So to make sure that we are always okay, I'm gonna get my PI so that if anything happens,